Good evening. How are you? It's the night before Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's Wednesday night. A lot of people are cooking and fixing up. And I'm working on some still shots off Henning Kemner's videos of the moon. And I'm startled by the details that are actually visible now. And that what that brings to mind for me is how confidentiality, need to know, and secrecy have affected science, space science, geology, anthropology. It has astronomy. It has affected us all in a very negative way because in hierarchy, each level, each profession does not speak to or communicate with the other levels and the other professions. And so when you talk to these people on the phone, they act stupid. They really act stupid. And it's not just confidentiality. Everybody controlled by the federal information system only knows what their job description allows them to know, okay? And that's hierarchy for you, ignorant. Now, is that a way to run a planet? You know, and I know, of course not. Of course not. What effects do we witness to? Well, we see corruption, pollution, slavery, okay? We have the banker problem in that they are openly defrauding people and robbing people of their homes in illegal foreclosures, and the government says nothing and does nothing. So that's how to kill our planet, is because nobody takes responsibility for whatever effects their job description produces. And so this is a top-down, very incompetent, malfeasant sort of administration. Now, you know, I got my crazy little hat here. That's my She Guru hat and my bluestones. Okay. And in Sumerian language, I go back to Ereshkigal and Mari, and I can still contact my place in the Anunnaki hierarchy, because that's where I come from. And I'm particularly horrified, having lived this long as a human, and embarrassed by the results, effects, and outcomes of the Anunnaki hierarchy upon humanity. You see, their intention in producing a slave race was to relieve themselves of a lot of hard physical labor. Apparently, it never occurred to them that not all of the descendants of their genetic uplift, not all would have a slave mentality, and that there would be a proportion of the human planet who would be as sentient and as intelligent as the Anunnaki themselves. That never occurred to them. So their plan for a slave planet really has gone very badly wrong. It went wrong because they ruined their own planet by precipitating pollution onto the ground and poisoning the soil so that everything died. And now they're doing the same thing to this planet with chemtrails. Okay. It went wrong because the organization known as hierarchy does not adapt well to a diverse set of races and a large heterogeneous population. Fortunately or unfortunately, about 11% of the human population do not have a slave mentality. And the elevated humans do not accept the slavery state. And so at this point, there are uprisings all over the world. 11% cannot run the planet. Okay. And when part of that 11% have set themselves up as a superior culture over everybody else, which Zionists, the favored Maldukian or Mardukian culture, does, there's just absolutely no end to the war and the misery of it. The 89% of humans that are benign can be captured and dominated by the 11% that are predatory, which in turn, that 11% can be conquered by parasitic and demonic ETs. And that's what we have right now, is human leadership that have been captured by predatory, demonic, and parasitic ETs. They're very cruel, they're very violent, they have no respect for law. This break between commercial law, which has been developed as a predatory exercise of elites, versus common law, which is the keeping of the peace according to the holy laws of the Pentateuch, the Torah, which God gave us, just plain common law. This break is tearing everything apart. Lawyers and attorneys did it, okay, and judges. They have turned this planet into a concentration camp run by parasitic consumer culture. And human beings who are benign and decent, they didn't notice the process while it was happening. And now all of a sudden they look up and they see a totalitarian regime and they wonder, how did that happen? Well, it happened because the legal profession adopted a predatory attitude toward human beings and human life in general. That's our simple problem in a nutshell. Humans in slavery don't realize that the problem is in law itself, with elites running rampant over our lives. It would not be a bad idea to disestablish all commercial admiralty and statute courts and only reinstitute common law courts to protect ourselves from deprivations of profiteering and usury banking. Throw the bums out, okay, who confound the law into rationalizations for violence, slavery, and neglect. Now, the issue of privacy is a little more complex, because the fact is, among the aware populations of the cosmos, there is no such thing as privacy. Telepathy serves to help us share ideas across all kinds of interdimensional boundaries. Privacy is only an issue among the secular materialists who have no contact with or connection with the higher dimensions, including that of God. They believe that they're not accountable, that they're not going to be judged for their actions. And in that respect, they're very naive. The federal system is totally out of control, and we need to find ways to avoid it and boycott it any way we can. In order to take responsibility for ourselves, we're going to also have to take some initiatives that will require leadership to pull together. This is not about freedom. This is about the institution of universal misery, disease, exploitation, and crimes against the planet and humanity, which are being committed by the present money-grubbing leadership across the board, nation by nation and continent by continent. The Anunnaki horrified as they are at the outcome of their intervention on this planet, are in no position to replace human leadership, the trustees, that are presently corrupt and dishonest, with honorable, law-abiding executors so that humanity can benefit from law and not merely be victimized by it. Congresses and parliaments will have to be recalled en masse. Corporations prosecuted, tried, and penalized for damages and plunder. And if courts do not cooperate, they must suffer vacancies and disestablishments also. 11% of the people on this planet are smart enough to effect change, but 89% are not. And nobody is going to change the 89%. They are benign, and they're unwilling and unable to either move or even know which way to move or what the problems are. You see what I'm saying? So if anybody has the tendency to understand cause and effect and to want to effect change, would you please step forward? We are in dire need of leadership in this generation at this time. Please. Please step forward, empathize with the condition of humanity, and begin to understand, open up your awareness to how we can utilize causes and effects in common law to correct and make right our very, very difficult situation on this planet. I hope I have made some sense to you. This is Emily Craig. Thank you for listening. Bye.